Hey, we should be live. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry, I'm gonna mess with my mic a bit. One sec. Okay, hopefully you can hear me well. I'm gonna open it up on YouTube, see who's here. Thank you so much for being here. It's gonna be a chill live stream. I wanna share with you some of my progress on the huge painting. Why am I not in focus? There we go. I wanna share with you progress on the large painting. Do some art encouragement. If you're having trouble, feel free to share your pains. Honestly, I just am extremely busy lately, and I'm just trying to use these streams to relax and talk to you and hear from you. So thank you so much, Jan's Art. I'm doing well. It's just kind of the busiest time of my life, at least the last couple of years. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And I'm preparing the photos. I want to share with you some photos. Hey, John, how are you? Hope you're well. Hey, Jacqueline, hope you're doing well too. Good morning to you. I actually am, it's not morning, it's 3 p.m. here. I managed to get quite a lot done by now. I got a haircut. Finally, I no longer look like a cave troll. And I worked out, I exercised. So it was a good day. Finally got back to the gym. With every move, it takes some time to get settled, even just psychologically, and find your places. So I'm happy I found a gym, found a hairdresser too today. So it's been good. This is my second time going to the gym. Already went 2 days ago. I just had very little time today, so I just decided, okay, it's not going to be perfect, but I'll go anyway. I did a quick, 25-minute session and had to leave. But yeah, basically doing well. Hey, Mr. Dolly Prane, hello from France. Thank you for being here. Who said, yeah, thank you so much. Khatich is basically good looking in Hebrew. Handsome, more accurately. Thank you. Paula, good morning to you too. Dwayne, hope you're doing well. Yes, I am. This is like I love how I have this mental trigger in mind that this basically symbolizes the end of the week. So I'm like, oh, it's good. It's good. It's slowly, I'm on my relaxation ramp. Unless it's a painting live stream, then it's a little more intense. There's a little more pressure to get a good result for you to enjoy. But yeah, other than that, the just chatting is the best way I can think of relaxing. So yeah, and by the way, let me know how you're doing. How's your art going? Are you struggling? Is there anything that you need some help with? Melanie, hey, how are you doing? So good to see you too here. Thank you so much. Manuela, hello from Germany. Nice haircut. Thank you. Yeah, this is honestly, so this is my first time there. I think it's one of the best results in terms of this is how I pictured it exactly. This is exactly how I pictured it. I explained it to them. They knew exactly what to do. So it's good. I even left a Google review. I think I have. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. I don't know, something got in my eye. Very annoying. Tiny Face McGee, how are you doing? I got rejected from a juried show. Screw him. But the real pain came from seeing the watercolors that they did choose. Very tight and tidy, but I want to paint loose. Yeah, it's okay. You're not going to be for everyone. And these juried shows, they rotate their judges. So, one time didn't work, submit again for the next one. Don't even feel like you have to change and never go to that show again. If it's a recurring thing, you just wait till the next opportunity. That's kind of how it is. It's all very biased. There's a lot of kind of soft nepotism going on in the art world, especially in what I consider like low-level juried shows, meaning it's local. It is local societies. I know from here. I don't know if that's the thing you joined, but you submitted to. But like here, we have a lot of these low level because it's a local society, right? It's not like a grandiose organization. These have the worst kind of nepotism. I won't say much more. I don't want to upset people, especially if people from here are watching me. But yeah, it's who you know. That's what it comes down to. And of course, the merit, and maybe you have some things to polish in your own style and approach. That can also happen. But generally speaking, yeah, there's so many reasons for this. I wouldn't give it a second thought and just really submit for the next one. I'm sure you'll get it eventually. And yeah, I am not a big fan of tightness in my paintings unless it really serves a very specific purpose and it's a local kind of thing, which, by the way, what I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds is that, right? It's tight, but it's more of what the painting demanded, so to speak. So yeah, Jacqueline, it's 7 a.m. in Alabama. Also just starting our day. Cool. I actually just shipped a painting to Alabama. Thank you so much to the kind purchaser. Really appreciate it. If you want to check out my paintings, I think there's a link in the description box, lirongallery.com. Check it out. I need to do some reorganization there, remove some paintings, add new paintings, change pricing. So yeah. John, how's your large painting coming on? Really well and really slowly. It's just one of those things that takes time. It's almost like letting nature take its course. I cannot speed this painting up. I've been working on it for a couple of weeks now. It's just gonna take the 2 full months probably. What's funny with these paintings, and I'm gonna show you some of the pictures I took just today. What's funny with these paintings is you paint and you paint and you paint, and it takes patience, but in the sense of it actually takes time for the painting it takes time to paint the different sections. But then one day you don't even think about it and you look at it and it's done. I don't know how to explain it, but it just is done. You don't even expect it to be done. And that's something fascinating I find about painting these types of things. So yeah, I'm just going to continue working at it, adding, fixing, adding, removing. Maybe I'll use some opaque paint. I haven't so far. I don't think, usually for large paintings, I don't need as much opaque paint because it's so easy to leave the negative paper white because it's so big. It's a big painting. But yeah, and this is a snowy scene. You'll see in a second. So there's a lot of paper white there. That's quite nice. Tiny Face, I want to enter a jury show, but so nervous. Paint loose too. Yeah, just go for it. Loose is popular today. The most popular thing today does seem to be realism. And even hyperrealism. I don't do hyperrealism, as you know, but I am more realistic than loose. That is for sure. I don't think you can call most of my paintings really loose. Maybe some will define them like that. Maybe the faster ones, like the one I demoed the last live stream, maybe that could be considered loose. But I mean, loose is loose. Loose can be much looser than that. So I don't know if I'd consider it. Taste my biscuit. Hello from Vietnam. Awesome. I loved Vietnam. Actually, we visited last year, and my sister is going to be there soon. So she's traveling all over the area there, and I think they're now just landed probably in Vietnam. So yeah, that's fun. Love it. Loved every place we visited almost. Food was great. Very nice people too, and crazy views. The Mr. Dolly Crane, I made a painting from one of your reference photos. Would you like to see it? I can email it to you. Yes, definitely. Send it over. If you're quick enough, I can look at it while we're streaming. So feel free to send it over right now. Let's see here. I'm going to close Photoshop. I don't need it anymore. Dwayne painted big for the first time, quarter sheet. Actually, I have now done 2 this week. Awesome. Yeah, quarter sheet is not small. That's awesome. So how much would it amount to in inches or centimeters, whatever is comfortable for you? I'm curious to see. Hi, Liron, finally on holiday and can watch this live. Thank you so much for being here, Laura. Jacqueline, enjoy your holiday, by the way. That is awesome. We took our much needed holiday. Now we're ready to go. So yeah, don't know when we'll take another one. So it was really good. Jacqueline, my client sent me a photo of the painting I did for her. It's 5 feet wide by 2.5 feet tall. So that's quite a large painting. I'm not really good on feet. Let's see how much it is in centimeters. Feet to centimeter. So yeah, okay, 30. So that's what I imagined, about 30. Yeah, cool. So that'll be 150 by half of that, 75. I can do math on live streams. That's a new feat. Looks amazing on the wall. I'm inspired to paint big again. Yes, one thing that a lot of people who are more into just painting and don't collect art or don't sell a lot of paintings yet, is there's a bit of a lack of understanding sometimes of the importance of a painting's presence, right, in the house or whatever, in the museum, wherever it is, in the establishment. Large paintings are more, they're more impressive just by the merit of their dimensions. It really is just like that. The painting can be identical, but because you can see it more from afar, it's more impressive. And it's something I would highly encourage anyone who has never tried to try. Now, let me share with you where I'm at right now. And while we're doing that, I'll also continue reading your chat. So this is where I'm at right now. Okay, I'm gonna look at some zoom-ins as well in a second. Joanna, hello from South, I guess that's South Wales. Awesome, Wales is beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. Prolingo, hi from Spain, big fan. Thank you so much. So that's cool. So do you teach English on YouTube? That's fun. Thank you so much. Dwayne, 11 by 15 inches. Yeah, okay, so that would be about 25 centimeters, 26 centimeters over 30, 38, 40. Yeah, that's cool. That's a good size. That's a good size. I find, Dwayne, once you paint that size, you're pretty much good to go. You can paint whatever size you want. The next time you'll double it, quote unquote, it will be much easier than you expect. Trust me on this one. You can paint as large as of a piece of paper as you have, like as large as the paper allows. One problem I'm gonna have to solve is if I do want to paint like a really big watercolor that's more than 120 centimeters wide, I'm gonna have to find a different solution from the sheets, because the sheet is a 10-yard roll. Sorry, it's a 10-yard roll. It's 120 over 10 yards. So I need more than 120. If I want to do 3 by 5 meters, how am I going to do that? I'm not going to tape probably 2 sheets together, though it is possible. I don't think I'll do it. So yeah, I'll have to figure that out. Tiny Face McGee, do you do Noten studies? If yes, tips. I think they will help my compositions. It's interesting. I had no idea what Noten studies or Noten art is until people have commented on the channel. I've never seen this before. It looks like an interesting trend that a lot of people do. Trend in a good way. I don't know, I've never really done those. My compositions are just a product of my experience. I didn't take any real conscious steps to create them, other than looking at paintings I enjoy, which I did a lot in the, when it comes to the Painting Masters show here, or also just looking at art I like on Instagram. And taking photos of things that interest me. So when you take the photo, you can play around with the composition really fast. And that's when I did get to experience a bit of, okay, how do I like it to look, and so on. Other than that, I don't have much like actual concrete advice for that particular thing. If you feel like it'll help, then yeah, cool, go for it. I would say it's never about the thing, but rather what it generates within you. So the Noten studies, Noten, I don't know how to pronounce it, aren't the thing that will make you better on their own. It's whatever you glean from it, whatever it sparks within you, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully that is useful. Dwayne, most I do are 5 by 7. Yeah, cool. To me, 5 by 7 is too small to get the details I want usually now. I like to go a little larger than that. Oh, by the way, I should share with you on today's stream. Let me write down just a quick reminder. I should share with you the paintings for the auction. I've shared these on Instagram. So basically, there's another auction here with the local auction house. I'm going to have 4 paintings. I will share them with you later. You'll like them. They're framed. Probably some of you have seen them. But I do want to show you that as well. Mary, hi there. That's what I really like about your style. It looks both realistic and detailed as well as loose and artistic. Very nice balance. Yeah, so let me show you just a bit of a zoom in for now. And you can see a lot of it is still loose. And by the way, of course, it looks 100 times better on paper. And even the pencil lines, like I don't know what I did, played around with the levels of the photo, like the brightness, saturation, all the brightness, contrast. It looks so much more natural when you see the real thing. But yeah, this from up close, you can see a lot of the brush marks. But once and that's what we're going to get into in a couple of minutes here. I'll talk a bit about painting big and the implications of that, and why most are probably scared of that, and why it really is all in our head, in a way. Tessie, good morning from Massachusetts. Thank you for being here. The Mr. Dollar Prane, I've sent a picture. Let me take a look. Let me see. I don't know which email address you sent it to, but let's see this. Let's see here. Maybe I haven't got it yet. Okay, I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna give it a few more moments. Did you send it to Liron at Lironian? Let's see. Not very good at taking photos, so it's okay. It's okay. Well, I'll give it a few more minutes and we'll check again. Sometimes it takes a moment. Oops, I forgot I was logged into my pro account. My name is Alan. Yeah, no worries. That's cool. I like when people log in with the actual account. They join the stream with your actual professional account or business account. I like that. I'm fine with that. It's cool to see other creators, honestly, here. Jacqueline, Mary, that's what I love about this. Oh, thank you so much. Fiona, hey, when are you going to show some more stuff about your paintings and watercolor paints? What, like specific type of paints I use and things like that? Let me know. Make it more specific. I'll tell you when. But yeah, more paintings I'm showing all the time, I think. I did take kind of 2 weeks. It's not a break, but I published it a bit of a different format just because I'm busy with a bunch of stuff and also this big painting, and we took the vacation. So yeah. So let me get into this for a second here. So this is the large painting. It's about 2.5 meters on this side, on the long side, over 1 meter. Now the thing is, there's a lot of fears around painting large. What I discovered is that it's actually exactly the same. The only difference is that physically, it takes longer to progress. And so what happens is I'll spend a bunch of time working on all of these small rocks. Let me get one of the more zoomed in ones. I'll spend a lot of time working on these smaller rocks. And, it takes time for the effect to compound. It takes time to feel like you're making progress. So at first, I'm working on this small section. I'm adding more rocks and more rocks and more rocks. And it just takes a couple of days for something that even looks like the scene to pop out. But after a couple of days, it does make sense. Like when you look at it like this, of course, it's not close to done. But when you look at it like this, oh, okay, it's cool. I see tons of rocks. I can imagine the water being there once you'll paint them. So that was the main difference. It's just the time it takes. And I find that when you double the size, it's pretty crazy, or you keep doubling the dimensions of the painting, it's crazy how much longer it takes to paint. So if you paint an A4, if you're used to painting like A4, I think, Dwayne, what you mentioned, 5x7 it's smaller than A4, if I'm not mistaken. But let's say you paint an A4 normal printer paper. If you're so used to that, when you go over to A3, which is essentially 2 A4s, one next to the other, it takes longer to fill in the different areas. There's more room for more resolution. You have more room to place things in. It just takes time. Now, the ugly stage, so to speak, or the unfinished stage, which now my vision has improved so much that I can see it so far in advance, so it's not a big issue for me. But that ugly stage is just the majority of the process. It ends up, instead of being, maybe a third in the middle or a quarter in the middle, the ugly stage is going to be almost, it can last weeks. But the more you add, the effect compounds. Now, I'm at a point where there's a lot of snow here, all of this white, all of these areas. Here, I still haven't painted it. You know, it's a gray, it's not paper white. But these paper whites, where you do leave them, are going to have way more significance once I, A, fill in all of these areas with grays, but B, fill in all of this area with the water. Think about all these rocks and the negative shapes making the shadows behind them. Once I'm going to put in the water, and it's going to be lighter than the dark on the rocks, but it's going to frame the paper white on the rocks and the blue on the rocks. It's going to get so much more of a meaning to it. It's going to make everything make more sense. So the context here is going to be skewed for a long, long time. Now, I want to show you something, because people are worried about, okay, big painting, bigger washes. Now, not always, because all of these small rocks aren't that big of a wash. Like, this is a big wash. Okay, that's a big wash, but I used a large brush, and it's a very wet wash. It needs to be very light, so it was easy to get the flow, right? But when you look at this wash, so all of this area, it's going to be as dark as probably these two areas or this. And these aren't done yet as well. Nothing here is done. Nothing here that you see is done. Maybe the rocks, some of the rocks are done. Okay, but think about it this way. This big shape is going to be as dark as this shape and these two shapes. So it's a huge wash with negative shapes leaving the snow behind. And that is very threatening to many people. So you have to understand, it's about like this area that you're looking at. Think about it this way. This is 2.5 meters. This is at least a meter long of an area. So if I'm going to just full screen myself for a second, it's like this big this long of an area on paper is this huge wash you just saw. So think about how long it takes to fill that area up. And it's not just a flat wash that you cover everything. You have to paint around the intricate shapes. So what did I do here? Well, it is perfectly fine to pause that wash. You don't have to have it even and in one go. It's okay to fill in an area, blur the edge or blend the edge a bit, and then continue it later on. You can do so many things, because think about it this way. Once you get to this stage where it's darker, you can start working in smaller shapes. So you can fill in just the darker shape, just the lighter area, just the mid-value area. At first, it looks super threatening and scary because it's a huge area, but even within that huge area, you don't have to maintain flow. And that's the thing everyone's worried about. And I have shown you how you don't have to have flow, generally speaking, in watercolor, but it's just an interesting thing to see. This doesn't have to all flow together, especially in the first lighter washes. It's so not important. So what I like to do is I'll get a very light wash that's very then interesting, just to map out the area in which I'm going to focus. Once I have that mapped out, I will even add more pencil sketches to show the different shapes within that. And I haven't shown you the reference as well. I don't think I will share the reference for now, but we'll see. So it's much easier to now start focusing in on the smaller shapes within the large shape. And that is much easier and it's more manageable. But at first, yes, you may have to map out huge shapes like this one, but it's okay. You don't have to have flow in them. That's the big secret. The flow doesn't matter. No one will even think about it once you zoom out. And you may have been looking at this area on the zoomed out version. You didn't even think about the flow. Maybe you have noticed it. Maybe you haven't. It's such a non-big deal. And by the way, you can see a bit of the reference photo here. It's this area. I can tell immediately, like every zoom in on this photo, which is a huge photo, I can tell immediately. Now, if you want a preview of what the water is going to look like, you have a bit of it here. That's the water, but it's going to be a little more neutral in most of these areas. Once I put the water in, that's when I'll have to really carefully observe and figure out if the composition, if the values overall work, if I need to make some fixes. By the way, I still haven't gotten to all of these rocks with their shadows. I just finished this area. So this is kind of my initial thoughts on painting large, the fears that a lot of people have. And how they're very manageable. Now, if you ask me what is the scariest thing about this kind of a painting, it's not these large shapes that are dark. It's those very nuanced, light, large shapes. Because all of these hills, they start dark and they very gradually go light. So what you'll have is a hill next to a hill. Let me show you. So this starts dark, gradually goes light. This starts dark, gradually goes light. Kind of like when you have mountains, foggy mountains in the distance, which is one of the things most people paint first in watercolor. You find a tutorial for that everywhere. So this hill, or whatever, is going to start dark and end lighter too. What this amounts to is that the top is always going to be darker than what's behind it. And that creates an interesting sense of depth, like here, like with these two. Now, I didn't have to do a very gradual transition here because there's going to be a lot of dark twigs and stuff like that here. So that's a local thing. But here, for example, it's very visible how smooth the transition is. So these are the washes that scare me. These are the washes that scare me, the nuanced pale grays and blues here as well. These washes, they're not scary at all. These washes are not scary. They're very manageable. You start light, you slowly push it around, push it to be darker. And that's kind of the way it works. These, cabins, they're the easiest bit here. It's like painting smaller details. Same for this thing here. And you know what? Once you do this, just once, you paint this size just once. You don't even have to go this crazy. There's something in the meters, like go 1 meter over 70, whatever. Everything, when it comes to technique, will begin looking like a joke to you. Technique is nothing. I don't have enough words to express how much of a nothing burger it is. It really is. Beyond a very basic point. So yeah, these are my thoughts on painting large, what most people are scared of, and honestly why, in a very non-sensational, calm, matter-of-fact statement, there really is not much to be worried about. That's the thing. I'm not saying this to encourage you, though if it encourages you, I'm very happy. Just stating a fact. So yeah, kind of my thoughts. Let's see what you're saying in the chat. Tiny Face McGee, I feel like low-level art buyers like small paintings, easier to hang on the whole. Yeah, definitely. There's two sides to this. It speaks to everyone. Some people prefer small, maybe to place it on a desk or something even. But it's very hard to argue against a large painting being more impressive. And by the way, not just low level, high level as well. They love small paintings too. They just need to have their use. What a lot of people, when you're talking about not like super weird, rich, high level collectors that are going to place your painting in a container somewhere in some port, but it's actually going to hang in their home or homes or one of their homes. They have a very particular impression of what they're after. And it's not so much that they deny people's work or that they dislike a piece of art. They just are looking for the thing that will fit whatever's in their mind. By the way, similar to the jury show. It's the judges or whoever it is, the jurors, I guess. They have a very particular thing in mind sometimes. It's ideal if they don't, right? It's ideal if they keep an open mind, whatever. They really focus on every painting that gets there. By the way, I've been denied from a bunch of shows. Don't make no mistake, even recently. Small and large. But yeah, they have something in particular in mind. If your work answers that, cool. If it doesn't, they move on. It's just how the game is played. The Mr. Dolly Crane, I like the large format you're doing last week. It inspires me to try to paint larger. Awesome. Very happy to hear. And I don't know why I'm not seeing the email. So sorry about that. I will reply once I see it. If it's off stream, I'm refreshing my webmail folders, and I don't know, maybe I'll log in directly. Let's see. I'll just log in directly because I did tell you I'll look at it. let's see here. Okay, got it. Now I see it. I don't know why it takes time to pull into my other inbox. Let's see here. Oh, that's cool. It's the two old fellas chatting. That's one of my favorite paintings. And to this day, it has not found its place for some reason. No one wants it for some odd reason. I don't know why it takes ages to load. Let me just download it. I will just download it. By the way, you mind if I show it? I can show it on the stream. It will be fun. Let me know if you don't mind. If you don't, I'll show it and talk a bit about it. I really like it. You took it to a different place than I have, and it's really, really cool. Now, you did sign your name. So just reminder, if you don't want people to see it, I'm just saying, but if you do want me to show it, definitely let me know. Cooper Moore, such an elementary question, but what do you use for your primary colors? Yeah, I'm using a bunch of them. For this particular painting, I'm using a mix of cobalt blue and ultramarine, which are very similar, by the way. It's like it's two PBs that are very close in number, if I'm not mistaken. The thing is, so what I find is with most scenes, it doesn't matter as much what primary colors you use because most scenes are very neutral. The blues here are an exaggeration upon the photo. The photo is not as blue. I like it like that. When it's such a gray blue, it's a gray warm red, it's a gray yellow. You could get it with just about any primary color. I am pretty vanilla in that regard. I'm using just French ultramarine, cobalt blue, phthalo blue. Now that I've been using a lot of cobalt and ultramarine, I see how phthalo blue is very out of place for a lot of scenes. Like here, it didn't work at all. I tried and it didn't work. Yeah, pyrrole scarlet or any kind of fiery red, cadmium, vermilion, stuff like that. And then quinacridone rose to me is almost a must. I almost always use it because it's just the best middle of the road warm red. Cool red. And then whatever yellow I have on the palette, honestly, it's either a lemon yellow. It could be, I even enjoyed something like a Turner's yellow. I think it was M. Graham, but it could have been Schminke, actually. So that's kind of where I'm at, right? There's a general gist of it. Mr. Dolly Crane said you don't mind, which is awesome, makes me happy. So let me share it for a second. And we will stop screen. It's fun to look at. Where's my downloads folder? And hopefully some people will recognize this one. There we go. Present. You said totally okay if you show it. I never truly showed my art, except some relatives. I think I should do it more. Yes, it is very, in my opinion, it's very freeing to share your art. There we go. So I honestly love this take. It's really cool. The first thing I noticed is you made it way more colorful than me. And I actually really like it. I went quite neutral. Now, when you try to really match the colors realistically, you end up with more of a neutral palette, admittedly. And this is exactly the point we're talking about right now. So if you compare my original to this one, it's almost like me exaggerating the colors in the current large painting. One more thing I really like, you really nailed the foreground background. Like they're very nice layers. You can feel the blurriness of the background. That's really cool. Pattern on the shirt. You took it in a very interesting direction. I quite like this one. And you definitely captured their facial expressions. They're so good. The guy on the left especially, I don't know why, it's like really, it's almost like he's in disbelief, right? Like this person told him something, he's like, really? I like that a lot. That is really cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing it with me and everyone. And you know, whenever I see people are actually painting from the tutorials and stuff, it does make me quite excited. Because I know my videos aren't for they're not really mainstream, you know. When you go so deep on techniques and stuff like that, it's not for everyone, right? You need people that have some attention to sit down and really observe the process, even if you're not going to paint it. But yeah. Let's see here, Dwayne, what size brushes are you using for your big paintings? Would you still use the small brushes for details? Yes, I actually am using mostly the same brushes for this painting. I don't have them here. It's in the living room because it's such a big piece. I'm using the same two Escoda main ones because I'm working in small sections. That will be the Barocco size 16 and the Perla size 12. But the addition is I'm using a lot of Michael Soloviev's large bamboo brush, the wider one. I have everything in my links below for the larger washes, which thankfully so far there weren't many of them. We're talking about this here, the sky, this large mountain, this area right here. Even for this, I used, if I'm not mistaken, the smaller brushes for most of it, other than this section, because there's a lot of small negative shapes I wanted to paint around. So yeah, definitely, I'm using still the small brushes. Here's the thing. If the painting you're working on has a lot of small shapes of light and shadow, which is akin to this area, let's say, you can do quite a bit with smaller brushes. If your painting, however, is more like this, and if you've painted for a while, you can tell. If it's more like this, more of, you know, smooth transitions, large shapes, you're gonna need probably a larger brush for some areas. Now, this is, like many things are, a mix of the two. So I am still using my small ones for the small details. That's usually how it goes. None of it is really black and white. It's usually a combination of techniques, a combination of brushes, you know, all that. Jacqueline says, to Dwayne, when I painted large, I used the house paintbrush to put a lot of paint down. I mixed a ball of paint too, think huge. So Jacqueline, and Dwayne too, I actually did that with my Ponte Vecchio painting. There were some areas where I needed something much bigger, and I used just a normal paintbrush, like for acrylic wall paint. I did do that, now that I recall. I did use some of those as well. For this painting, it's not as much of a necessity, which I'm grateful for, because I enjoy this format a little more. So yeah. Oh, sorry, I don't know why the sound was out. Hopefully it's back. Let's see. Hopefully you haven't missed too much. I've been saying some important things. Hopefully you got to hear all of them. Okay, I'm just curious to see if it went out. Okay, no, I hear it all the way through. But thank you for letting me know. Totally okay. So yeah, we got that, and thank you so much for work. Thank you very much for your advice, and thank you all. I love the scene and story in this photo. Thank you again. I'm a big boost in confidence. Yeah, and you know what? It's interesting. Even if you're a beginner or beginning to be an intermediate, your style comes out in how you paint. So for example, I can see immediately in your style, you are attracted to the colorfulness more, and you do it well. Because in the beginning, when people use this many colors, as you've seen here in your version of this painting, it ends up not working as well in harmony, and you got that down. So this painting, the colors were very harmonious. So I would say I can tell you like the colorfulness. To me, you can tell I like sometimes the nuanced colors more than just throwing a lot of paint. Not to say that you just throw a lot of paint, but you see what I mean. Some paintings of mine are very colorful, but for the most part, I find the ones I enjoy more, and it's, again, a very personal matter, they're the kind that has a narrower range of colors. Not narrow range of values, but narrow range of colors. Already from this painting, I can tell that you're attracted to this colorfulness, to like stories too, it seems, which is great. It's very good. It's very useful if you want to make your art more commercial. Commercial in that people want to buy it, not commercial in that you do product design or something like that. So yeah, that's very good. Now I want to show you something interesting. If you've seen my video on edges and how they can really transform your paintings, which rock was it? I think it was this rock. This rock was the inspiration. Let me see, was it a different rock? Because there's so many rocks here. Yeah, it was this rock. So this rock was the inspiration. This one exactly here was the inspiration for my video. Maybe I have the piece of paper here somewhere. Yeah, I think I had it, but now I have no idea where it is. Who knows? But yeah, you may have seen this, like a rock, and it has a sharp edge and then a smooth edge. That was the inspiration of the rocks in this painting. Moscow Cowboy, good morning, Liron from Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you for being here. And yes, really appreciate it. Let's see. I would like to see Florida one day. Looks beautiful. I almost got to visit, but I haven't. My fault, though. No one else's. Jacqueline, beautiful painting. Thank you so much. Or was it on? I think people are commenting on the Mr. Dolly painting. So yes, thank you so much, everyone here. Timefti, hey Liron, it's been a while. Lola here. I'm trying some hyper-realism at the moment. It's getting easier with every painting. Should I send you a sample? Yes, feel free to send one. Definitely. We're not gonna. I know I always say we're gonna do another critique. This isn't an official critique. Feel free to send it to me. I'll take a look, and if you're okay with me showing it, I'll show it. So yes, it does. And you know, the thing about realism, it's almost like what I'm showing you here. It's whatever the painting demands, and sometimes it demands that you don't go bold immediately, but you start like this, you know, with a very light, loose wash. And you see all of these cauliflowers. I haven't even noticed them. No one will notice them. It's going to completely disappear with the layers. So yeah, so that's really cool, actually. It is easier than people think. It's almost about delaying gratification in a way, more than technique, you know. I want to show you this section because it's really cool. So first, let me give you, again, a zoomed out view. So it's here. See all of this rocky area that's a little more visibly rocky. It's not as smooth. And here's a zoom in. A lot of it is figuring it out while you're doing it. So I started with a light wash, which you can see here. This here and here and here. This is the light wash. And then I gradually added on top of that. So I added this, and I added these larger shapes, and I added these. And of course, it's not done yet, because think about it. It's going to be, you're going to need a bit more details because it's a large piece, but it's close to done. This specific rock formation is close to done. But a lot of it is discovering it. And once you put in the shapes, you'll start seeing it. Like, for example, you can see that this rotates, goes into shadow, and then it bevels out again, and it goes back into the shadow. Same here. It looks like a rocky pattern of very harsh edges, right? Sometimes it'll suddenly click. You'll paint something, and then, whoa, you're going to see it. Once you see it, it's much easier to continue. I, thankfully, for this painting, have seen it from the beginning, really. As soon as I put a couple of rocks in, I'm like, okay, I got it. As soon as I had, I think as soon as I had like a negative space behind a rock, backgrounding it, that's not a verb, I know, but whatever, that's when it started clicking. It happened very early on. Once you see it, it's very easy to push it to completion. And it's very hard yet for anyone who's not familiar with the photo, but this is a river, right? And then it flows down, it hits against the rocks. It's a really, really nice kind of, it has a flow that comes towards us, really pulls you into the scene. I think there's a lot of focal points here. And by the way, I was asked recently about focal points and how do I think about focal points when it comes to especially larger pieces. Do I strive for a number of them? Am I trying to just paint everything I see? And you know, if you try to paint it as you see it, it usually takes care of itself. But here you could argue there's so much, right? I would say this is a pretty main focal point, just this little crevice where the snow kind of built up around it. But this area it's a bit inner, so snow doesn't get there. It frames this big rock and the riverside very nicely, and that it kind of also leads the riverside here, riverbank, really leads you nicely from here all the way back to this one, all the way back to these cabins. So am I planning how many focal points I'm going to have? Not really, honestly. I'm just painting it the way I see it. Sketched it, and now I'm painting it the way I see it, and that's the thing that's leading me. Sometimes in art, you can't really dictate to the art what it needs to do. Have this many focal points, be this color, be that color. It's almost it's very unusual to have this notion in mind, but because some people are like, yeah, the whole process it's just intuition. I'm throwing things at the paper or the canvas, and whatever comes out, and you get an abstract piece. It's not really me, but I will say, from my perspective, it's very hard to dictate what is to happen to the painting. You almost can't tell it what to do. It just, you follow whatever your process and inspiration does, and whatever comes out the other end is you. That's just your product. Now, if you don't like the product, that's fine. I would ask other people their thoughts to make sure you're not completely seeing it skewed, because some people somehow really dislike their own paintings when they look fantastic. It's a bit rare, but it happens sometimes. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about whatever product you produce at the time you produce it. And the improvement doesn't, it happens with the experience, with the process. Hopefully that makes sense. That was a lot of words. Like Moscow Cowboy says, it's jungle, but I know you talk about Florida. But yeah. Both, but the two men, yes. Let's see here. And yeah, I know, you're all very kind. I know you enjoyed my painting too. Tim FT, yes, it's the Liron at lironian.com. Sorry, I now just saw your at lironian.com. This is the email. Hopefully you found it. Tinyface McGee, are you working flat on a large table? Believe it or not, yes, I'm working flat. Because there's a lot of small areas, I don't need much flow, like a downward flow. You know what's crazy? When you work this way, you have a lot of options, actually. So I can just grab the paper and kind of tilt it with one hand and then paint with the other. So I'll just grab the corner, lift it, and paint while it's at a bit of an angle. But here's the thing. When you paint small, anything that is, I guess, like an A3 and below, I know some people will consider it big, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it depends on the physics of flow. So let's say you take a brush, you charge a brush full of paint, and you go wet into an area, right? The paint spreads. Now, how much does it spread? Maybe 2 centimeters at best, maybe 3, maybe 1 centimeter. Think about it, really, make an experiment. Just pre-wet the paper, use a lot of water, come back, and you can even grab paint straight from the tube. It's just an experiment. Or you can grab it from dry paint and just touch the paper. How far does the paint travel? So it will travel, you'll discover, at best, a couple of centimeters out from where you touched it. And these 3, let's say 3 centimeters max, an inch maybe, an inch and a half maximum. It's a lot when you're talking about like an A4. I don't even have an A4, but this thing, right? It's a lot when you talk about this, 3 centimeters, an inch, something like that. But when you talk about something that's double, triple, 4 times the size, then it's not as much. So the point I'm getting at is controlling how much flow there is. I find that when it's a really big painting, it's not as important to have an angle, because the worst thing that will happen is the paint won't move the way I wanted it to, but it's going to be so negligible when it comes to this big size. So I hope that makes sense. Now, The one exception to that is, yes, when you want a gradual transition and avoiding cauliflowers, it becomes a little more important, which is why for this hill, as I mentioned, I grabbed this corner pointing at the screen, like you'll see my other hand. This corner here, I lifted and I used the angle I created to make this smooth wash. Same for this wash, by the way. I just lifted it up and painted from large to small, from left to right. That's kind of a long answer. But I could probably get away with not doing it. Probably I could get away with it. So I got it now. I see. Let me look at that. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so let's just look at one of them. Let's look at the first one. So that would indeed be closer to hyperrealism. Yes, that is really nice. Okay, I'm going to save it and throw it up on the screen. Let's remove this for a second. I have so little space. And thank you so much. And by the way, was it okay for me to show it? Let me know again if you can, and then I'll show it on the screen. For now, I'll just continue reading a bit. I think you're okay with it, but let me make sure. Then Mr. Dolly Prane, I can really understand the fact to have a hard time liking your own paintings. I've been educated in the way you never do good enough and be satisfied with what I create. To be satisfied with what I create takes a lot of work. Yeah. You know, I think it's very... I honestly, it's so deep in the psyche of a person. It's very hard for me to like, here's the solution, you know? It's a good question, you know, you never do good enough. I think it's some kind of running away from something. I don't know what it is running away from, because, you know, it's not that I think that I maxed my potential and that's as good as my paintings are ever going to be. I do have aspirations for a lot of aspects I want to improve, but I don't suffer through it. I don't feel like it's never good enough, you know? Even when I just got started, when I was a year into it, 2 years into it, and I knew my art has a long, long way to go. I never really felt like nothing I do is good enough. It was more like, this is my current result. So yeah, there's always something deeper there. It's quite hard to pinpoint exactly why it happens, you know. And by the way, here's TMFT's work. So yeah, I definitely would call this hyperrealism. So have you used, did you use watercolor for this? This is really cool. So if I can't zoom out anymore, but if I would, because if you would see you can take a few steps away from the screen, but it's really realistic. I like it a lot. And you see how, like, even the background, if you really zoom in, okay, the technique, there's some unevenness, but you can still tell it's a background and it still looks quite blurred compared to it. So that's really cool. That's really neat. And I bet this was like a nightmare to work on smaller details. This is something I find sometimes, if it's too repetitive, I can lose my mind. When I did that Fabergé egg, it was like a one-time gimmick. I enjoyed it, but I couldn't paint all the time like that. It's a small part of the painting, though, so it makes sense. But it's really, really cool. And it really reads that way. Now, what paper are you using? Is that a hot press paper? It looks like hot press, right? It has that hot press look that I struggle with and I always try to avoid. It's just something personal for me. I don't know why I don't like how things dry. It's not you. It's not the way you do it. It's just always like that on hot press. It can drive me crazy. Or maybe I'm imagining it, it's cold press. I don't know. But yeah, this is cool. Did you use opaque paint here? Now I'm curious about the technique, or it just looks like you've added a correction there. Let me know if you can talk more about the process. That'll be interesting, actually. We'll use this opportunity to learn a bit. But really, really awesome work. Keep it up. I like that a lot. Pense, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hi, Liron, it's been a long time. Yeah, I remember the Palacio part of your username, but was it a different first name? I'm not sure, first word. Thank you so much for being here. Are you still critiquing some paintings? I miss being active in all your live streams. Thank you so much. So I have a question for you. If you're here, you're going to do me a favor and tell me why has it been a long time? Did life get busy, or did you not get recommended my videos? I'm now on a journey to better understand YouTube. So I'm just curious to see if it's my fault, quote unquote, or if just you've kind of fallen out of following these streams and you've been busy. That's what I'm curious about. Now, I have not done a critique in a long time, probably since you were last year. I will do one in the future for sure. I'll have to get ready for it, but I will do one for sure. I'll mention, send me your paintings, and we'll do it. Just right now, it's a bit of a tricky, busy situation. So, yeah. But thank you so much for being here again. Moscow Cowboy, interesting. I would assume that you would want to mount that huge painting on a big piece of plywood or something. Yeah, you would. The thing is, if you go too steep of an angle there, it's all going to flow onto each other. It's going to be a mess. It is possible to work that way. You can control the angle too. But yeah, I like working on these freeform, completely freeform. I'll hold it up, twist it, move it around. That's just how I do it. Once it's framed behind glass, it won't be a problem at all. And it will all flatten quite nicely. But yeah, that's how I do it. It's not like the best way or anything. Sorry, it's not the best way or the way to do it. That's kind of how I do it, though. It's a bit strange. Timothy, I followed your advice to start with only black and white. Awesome. Now, if you feel like you want to tackle color, just go for it. Don't feel like you have to do things in a certain order. You may find that color brings you more to life and you enjoy it more. But really awesome work. Let's go Cowboy, self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, in a way. Everything is, in a way. Melanie, Liron, I have to run to an appointment, but want to thank you for your time and sharing your talent. I love these chats. Find them so helpful. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. Much appreciated. Thank you. TMFT, yep, it's definitely all watercolor. Cool. The Mr. Dollar praying, wow, that punk is so cool. Yes, it is. I used to love these types of belts when I was in high school. I think it was super fashionable. Love the reflections on the boots. Yeah, there's a lot of nuance there. Even the rings for the laces, really, really good. Tiny Face McGee, love the elbow. Yeah, okay. I should have read these while the painting was on the screen. Sorry so much about that. Sharzad, hello from Dallas. Thank you for being here. Marjorie, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Marjorie. Awesome to have you here. Team FT, thank you so much. I used a white pen for the belt. Okay, cool. I'm in med school right now, Liron. I'm sorry. Yeah, that seems to be a common theme. I've been talking to a couple of people who started med school a year, 2, 3 back. They've been incredibly busy. Just had my free time lately. Opened YouTube and saw this live stream. Yes, okay, good. If you haven't visited for a while and you came back and saw me, that's good. And maybe a black pen for the loose hair. Okay, cool. Let me open it up again for a second, because now I feel like I want to see everything. I like to notice things. One thing that did capture my attention immediately is actually the little highlight on the seam line on the jeans. That's really cool. Details on the jacket that really communicates well, like a jeans jacket, I think. But this also is one of the things I liked. This is really cool. The reflections too. But the reflections like this, it's not even the thing I find most impressive. It's more in the nuances. But yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And the hair as well. Congrats for not going super dark on the eyebrow and eye, because that's like a really dangerous zone. I find people go way too strong. That's awesome. Nancy, good morning. I slept in today. Awesome. That's always fun. We'll watch the beginning later. Dwayne, any of your paintings have multiple warm, cool, contrasting areas? Are they separate washes or transitions in a single? As for the second question, it's really random. It really depends. I don't go out of my way to paint them either this way or that way. Now, yeah, definitely a lot of my paintings have multiple warm, cool contrasts. And you know what? You'll always find it in some capacity if you're working in color, in more than one color. So these cabins here. Oh, sorry, you're not seeing my screen. Sure. These cabins right here, you know, it's a blue and a kind of sienna, right? So that's a contrast. And then if you go here, it's a stronger blue and a maybe this is a good example, right? Like a gray, warm gray and a stronger blue. So most of my paintings will have this aspect to them. In fact, I think this is a good transition. Let me show you the paintings that are meant for the upcoming auction, and we can talk a bit about this idea of temperatures, contrasting temperatures. You're familiar with them. You've seen most of them, but I still would like to share what I have here. So let's see. Let me just upload this real quick. I'm going to use my Dropbox, and I'm going to grab them, open them here. So this is, that's that. A large painting, and then auction. Okay. Give me just 1 second. I'll throw them up on the screen. And you'll see, the thing I discover more and more with time is a lot of the things I do aren't as deliberate as I maybe initially thought they were going to be, or as I thought I may want them to be. A lot of it is just spur of the moment. You know, I can even come up with cool explanations of saying, where's the extractor? There we go. I can try and come up with smooth explanations after the fact of, oh, this was on purpose, the way I did this and that. Usually it's not. Usually it's a spur of the moment thing. And I still consider that my own success, because that's exactly it. In the spur of the moment, in the way I envision things, that's how it came out, which is really cool in my opinion. So yeah. Now I'm just gonna get rid of this. We don't need these. Or maybe, let me see for a second here. This goes. Sorry, you're going to see everything in a second. This is pretty much the same thing. So let me get rid of this. Yeah, okay, we're good to go. So let me share this with you. And we can look at it from the prism of temperatures, right? So this painting is, you know, you're familiar with it probably. You've seen better scans, versions of it. People kind of talked about the cloud. It's crazy how pictures on an iPhone or whatever, and sending them around using WhatsApp and other means really flattens a lot of the details. It's pretty crazy. Of course, it looks like 20 times better in real life. But with that said, yes, you know, blue, kind of a turquoise blue with kind of a warmish glow. Then you have these more neutral warms with cools. You'll have it everywhere. You have all this area. I love it because there's the red, yellow, and blue, all the primary colors. Wherever you look, you're going to see a bunch of these, you know, a bunch of these colors, even when it's more nuanced, right? So here you have the warm and cool, right? The dress is cooler. That suit is warmer. Within the suit, you have like a turquoisey blue and then a bit of yellow, and you can see this process painted here on the channel. It's going to be everywhere, all of these small nuances. So these are, there's going to be 4. I'm going to go over them real quick, and then we're going to focus in on some of them. So this one, this one, this one, and this one. Fancier framing this time, which makes me quite pleased. This is the most interesting one with this background. There's a bit of depth to the box, which I really, really like. And yeah, let's give it on this one. This is an interesting one. So these 4 are going to go on an auction soon. Yeah, I hope you'll enjoy kind of checking them out. Pens, but I'm still painting lately, and I want to show you some of it. Yeah, definitely send some stuff over. I'll take a look. Probably after the stream. We're at a point where I'll look at it later. Yes, send some works over. Would be curious to see. By the way, did you paint the thing in your profile pic? Because that's a really, really good piece of work. I don't know. I'm so ignorant when it comes to historic art. So it could be like an old master. Honestly, I wouldn't know. But it looks very Rembrandt-y. Or also it could be modern. The Mr. Dolly Crane, maybe I have a hard time because as you described, I have maybe this idea that one day I will top my potential and be ready to be a real artist. But I see I should change this perception. Yeah, the thing is, it's very hard to change perceptions. I think better than changing it is try to understand it fully. Usually the thing you think it is, it's not that. Like, I know it's a nice little neat idea that I don't see myself as a real artist or I'm not ready, but I don't know if that's the thing behind it, you know? Only you can find out. And I think it's far better to understand than to try and change, because there's a reason it's there. And if you just try and change it, nothing will happen really, you know? People always default back to their default in a way, you know? Nancy, wow, that's a cool painting. Timothy, the paper is cold pressed. Okay, so it is cold pressed in Schminke black, so it's easy to lift. The seam on the trousers is lifted. Really? That's crazy. You lifted that seam? That's really impressive. But so I know why it looks hot pressed to me. That's what I suspected. It's that darn photos taken from phones, I think. If it's a scan, it got really compressed. Scans don't have that issue usually. They don't make a cold press paper look hot press. I don't know what it is about that. This weird graininess. It's probably not in the painting even. I'm just seeing it in the photo. But yeah, that is really impressive that you lifted that. That's crazy. Awesome. Good work. Planet Joachim. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly, or Joachim. How do you protect such large paintings? I have the big piece of paper, just worried about storing it. Yeah, so I roll it. In these dimensions, it's okay to roll. You're going to roll it about, I would say, like this, something like that, fairly easily. If you ship it, you're going to put it in a tube and put the tube in a box and put the box in a box. But for the most part, it's going to be, that's how you're going to do it. Roll it. You can put a kind of a plastic bag around it so that dust doesn't come in. For the most part, that's how it's going to work. When it comes to handling the paper, that's another thing that people are scared to touch the paper. I get it to some extent. I do some of it gloved just in the beginning. But honestly, while I'm painting, I don't care. I'll grab the paper and move it around. It's just a part of it, you know? When you work small, everything feels very sterile and like you can touch the edges of the paper, or you can just tape it to a board and just touch the board. The larger you work, the more you start to understand it's just material. It's raw material you work with. It should serve you, and you shouldn't be scared or timid to touch it. Now, to an extent, right? I'm not going to take my fingers and smear it over the paper after I worked out. That's not going to happen because that may really put a lot of oil on it, ruin the surface. But yeah. Timothy, I feel that there's a therapeutic. By the way, I should stop calling you Timothy. It's just Lola. I wanted to confirm. I'll try and remember. Lola. I feel that there's a therapeutic value to the hyperrealism. It does require a skill, but it's not as creative. What's your opinion? No, I think it's creative. I think if that's the thing that you create when you're in that zone, it's creative. You get to decide that it's creative. What I do think it takes is more patience, just because honestly it doesn't take patience. It doesn't take the patience. What it's more about is if you're impatient, you may struggle with it because it just takes longer for the impression to be built. That's it. I'm not saying that being patient is a value I hold dear to my heart. Not at all. I'm very impatient, and that's also not a value I hold dear to. It's just how I am, you know. I don't like to place a strong emphasis on that's how it should be in anything, really. So I would say that's the thing. If you're an impatient person, you know, open brackets, this is not a statement, it's bad being impatient, you're going to have a harder time with hyperrealism. I do think it's very therapeutic if you are patient and you're just taking your time with it. Yes, the compounding effect of building something realistic can be great fun. Framing, I need ideas for that. Yeah, so I started with a very simple black frame. I can actually show you. Let me see if I can grab. So I have a folder. I'll stop just sharing for a second. I have a folder with a lot of my framed paintings, artwork, framed paintings. There we go. How will I sort it properly here? Whatever. Let's leave it here for now. So if I go over to this folder instead, and I want to show you some of the older framing. It's not as good a quality as I'd want it to be, but whatever. The photo, that is. So for example, this painting you're familiar with. You see, I started with a very simplistic kind of black frame. Now, I have framed before this, in the past with more interesting frames, better looking frames, more creative frames. But this is what I kind of settled on, quote unquote. By the way, Lola, you see here, this line, there's no way I would lift that. So the fact you were able to lift something like that from the jeans is crazy. I used opaque paint for this. And negative painting, very slowly and carefully. But in case, yeah, so this is how I started. But then I was suggested that it will also help bring out more of the painting. So that's kind of how I have gone about it. The paintings are taped over a Kappa board. And that works really well. And you can see a bit of there's a bit of a gap there, and I like it a lot. I love the background on the couple. So beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was painted here on the channel. You can find a video of that. It actually got quite a lot of views, this video. So probably quite a few people have watched it. Now, where is the front picture of it? There we go. Okay. Good afternoon, Henny. Hope you're doing well. So glad I finally remembered the live. Oh, thank you so much. The Mr. Dolly Prain. Thank you very much. That is great advice. I have to go to work, but I'll watch the end of the stream later. Have a good day. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Send some of it in Instagram. Okay, cool. I'll check it out later. Awesome. Charzad, how did you frame this? If you refer to these that I've just shared on the screen, I took it to a guy that does a really good job. Both of these, they are close by. This one is a closer. Lives closer. The studio is closer to where we live. This one's a little farther, but yeah, I just left the painting there. Told them follow, do whatever the owner of the auction house recommended. They communicate a lot, so it was quite easy actually. But yeah, if I frame it myself for my own use or for my own idea, I'll usually ask what color would work best to complement the painting, but not be too dominant. I'm a big fan of actually matching the colors of the painting. So I could definitely see myself using a blue that is similar to this blue, maybe, or maybe even this blue, or grabbing a color that repeats itself a lot in the painting. So we decided on just brown frames, except for this one. Oh, wait, this was brown as well. Yeah, okay. So we went with a brown frame for all of them. Yeah, we said that it would work, but it actually works better in my opinion. The hard part for this one was matching the background. That was a bit of I looked at a bunch of them and we found the one that is very close. What you'll notice is if you look at the painting up close, it's black and white, but actually some brown and even blue has seeped into my black paint. So what you'll notice is there's a bit of warmth here and there. You can really see it on the ground. This is lighter than this, but it's also warmer. This value and this value are quite close, right here and right here. But this is warmer. Can you tell? It's a little warmer. So some colors did seep into this one. And I wanted to match the color of gray, so to speak. When you look at the gray color, it could be a perfect gray, but sometimes it will have a bias towards a red or a yellow or a blue or a green. Just if you take a green color and slowly neutralize it, but don't go all the way, you'll end up with a gray that's a little green. If you look at something like Parylene green, that's a very gray green, but it's a green. It's on the green scale. If you sample the color in Photoshop, it's going to be green. So it's very interesting. It was a bit of a challenge to find the exact gray that fit, but we found it. Marjorie, your painting is amazing. Did you record any of the process? Thank you so much. Yeah, the large one, I've been slowly recording it, kind of low key, the large commission. The client said they don't mind, so that made me happy. It was said proactively, feel free to document the process. I was very happy about that. I'll make a consolidated video like I did with Ponte Vecchio, where I show the process a bit, how I worked on it. Some videos, very short though, of the process itself. It's mostly going to be the meta around it. I'll show photos of the stages. I'll talk a bit. That's how it's going to be probably. Henny, random question, my favorite kind of question. Possibly already answered recently. Apologies. What does your current week look like in terms of painting planning? Yeah, so my current weeks look a little different than what they were, say, a year ago or 2 years ago. Because right now I'm painting a lot. So I'll spend a bunch of time painting, and then in between painting, I'll do a lot of the other things like filming videos, editing videos, posting content, doing a bit of marketing efforts here and there. So yeah. Thursdays, I try to keep work light, meaning I won't do too intense things, simply because I need my energy for the live streams. So I'll do, for example, I painted today. I just pretty much just painted, worked out, did a lot of things. Today I started a little late than usual. I had to do a lot of finances / accounting, hyperspeed accounting, because I was not running behind, but I had a deadline, which is in fact today. That I had to get some stuff done, and because we went on for a week's vacation, I did just that for a couple of days. So it's very hard to find the average, but I would say, I spend about 2 hours a day in front of watercolor paper on average. Some days it's much more, some days it's usually not less. Well, it is less because it's an average, but yeah, you get the point. In front of paper, just painting. You can add to that like 20 minutes or half an hour of staring at it, but just pure painting time, 2 hours, and then in front of the computer, 6, 7 more, and then random stuff in between, 1 more, 2 more hours on the phone, stuff like that. So yeah, a couple of weeks back, I did this comic book workshop that was 2 days of the week that I just did that. I had to drive there, an hour-long drive back, set up my table and everything, come back. So yeah, it's very hard to say like what a week looks like, but I'll spend, I think, the main chunk right now painting. Then after that, making content and everything it entails, and then some menial managerial tasks. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I feel like if you'd ask me this like in a couple of more weeks, I'll have a better answer, because this is a bit of a confusing time with just a lot of different things I'm doing. I did have more of a routine a couple of years ago, a bit more of a routine. By the way, sometimes to the detriment, like the routine was too much, sometimes it was too forced. Now I don't force it anymore, so it ends up looking a little different. But yeah, I would love to say I'm just sitting down and painting, all day long. It's not how it works. One thing to understand is, even if you're just selling your paintings, you're gonna spend a lot of time promoting them, putting them out there, So you're gonna spend maybe 50% of the time painting, or maybe 75% of the time painting. The rest is gonna be marketing, selling, trying to push them out there. And to me, my bread and butter is the YouTube, the videos, the content. So I spend quite a lot of time on that. I hope that helps in a way. Planet Joachim, awesome. Thank you. Really enjoying your work. It's inspiring. Appreciate the tips. Awesome. Thank you so much. I love that profile pic too, by the way. I can't tell where it's from, and maybe you created it, but it's really cool. Dwayne, time to head out. Thanks for being very welcoming and interactive host. Thank you. I'm so grateful for your time. Have a great rest of the week. I will. My work week is pretty much over. I usually do work a bit on Fridays, but just a bit. Team FT, I think it's Schminka Magic. Very easy to lift, even if it's right. Awesome. Wasn't familiar with that. That is cool. Magic. I'm gonna look at that later on. Let's see. Jacqueline, I've been thrifting some frames. Awesome, that's a great one. Got some big ones that are gold, and I'm going to take the art out of it and put mine in. That's awesome. Should frames all be the same when doing a show, or can they be more unique to the painting? You know, honestly, my personal opinion, I like for them to be more unique to the painting. The reason for that is every painting should, in my opinion, stand on its own and look the best it can. So if every painting has its own thing going on, highly customized to the painting, to me, that's the best. Now, sometimes the same frame will do just that. So I won't choose the same frame because that's how it should be, but rather this is actually a frame that complements all of the series of paintings. Like here in this example, the frame works for all of them, not the background. This had to have a dark background, in my opinion. If you have no rules, if you have no limitations, if you don't have to please anyone else, ideally, different color frame, different color background for every single painting in the show or whatever auction. I love that idea because to me it gives it more value. Now, if they are strict, that's the reason you would have to, you'd have to choose something that works with everything. See my point? That's how I see it. I'm a big fan of, if you have 4 paintings, every one of them should have a different frame, different color. To me, that's how it should work. And I love the varied look on one wall. So yeah, even when we framed a bunch of my cars and put them on the wall, we did use similar frames for all of them. We had 2 types of frames, but especially if it's a bit more of an expensive painting. And when I say expensive, I mean a couple of $100s. I'm not talking about tens of thousands of dollars, anything like that. I think the painting deserves its own frame. That's how I feel. By the way, I did the whole thrifting frames as well. I got some from the framer that was going to throw them away, painted 2 sides. One of them was very horizontal. I absolutely love it. Now we have Tayo. Hello, Mafia Man. Is that me? I'm Mafia Man. Thank you so much for being here. Shahrazad, you don't mat your paintings? Correct. Yes, I don't. I didn't mat this one. It's just a Kappa board and it's taped over it with acid-free tape and all that stuff. But yeah, in the past I would mat them. Now not so much. The framers I worked with don't do that as much. Tayo, how do you feel about the courses Control Paint? I'm unfamiliar with that. I have no idea what it is. What Russian artist do you like? I love Michael Soloviev. I think he's Russian, but I know he lives in Canada. I like that fire round. Have you ever thought about going into animation? I have, actually. I have, and I'm still considering it. By the way, do you have an animation of that little tea bag? I like that a lot. Yeah, I have thought about it, and I have done 2 watercolor animations. One of them is still unfinished years later. But yeah, if you've seen my windmill, that's really fun. Lala, I really admire your way you run your art business and how committed you are to it, apart from your amazing paintings, of course. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just literally follow my passion. I could tell you it took a lot of commitment all of these years. I had to stick through it. Not really. I'm just doing whatever is fun for me. And it's pretty darn full of gratefulness to me because, not everyone will do that, and I find it very hard not to do it. So the fact that I'm able to live like that and have no boss, that's a big thing, right? Clients are bosses in a way, but that's fine. That is huge to me, and I can really lean into the freedom aspect of things. To me, it's the easiest thing in the world. Now, of course, there are challenges. It's challenging when sales decline, when things don't work the way you want, when you launch something and it doesn't work as well. But yeah, to me, that's how I enjoy living my life. And I'm super grateful that I can, So yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Tayo, do you draw on a computer using a graphic tablet? Yes, I have a Huion canvas. You can see it almost here. This is the thing. I really like it. And I opened up a tab. I didn't mean to. I don't know what I hit on the keyboard, whatever. I was scared I closed my stream. But yeah, I am probably going to do a bit more of it soon. There's a project I want to work on. As for anime, yes, I love anime. Currently, I'm not watching any anime. I just finished all of them. And once I find something I like, I will. I want to watch Jujutsu Kaisen because I saw it's on Netflix now. I love Berserk. It's one of my favorites, but the manga is better. I really enjoyed Ajin. Ajin is wonderful. The manga is better too. Guess I'm a manga guy. I really loved Attack on Titan. Anime is better than the manga. But yeah, I love anime. I wish I could sometimes just watch it all day. But I'm the way I'm wired. It's like, yeah, I have to work. But yes, and I also did a few sketches and paintings, even paintings from anime and manga. So yeah, I think that was a good time to wrap it up. We're exactly on an hour and a half mark. I planned for this to be about an hour long, but I had a good time, honestly, so I just kept going. I do have some small things I want to take care of and do towards the weekend. I don't yet have a video for Saturday. I hope that happens. Maybe I'll manage to create something in time, but there may be no video on Saturday. I just got really sucked into other things, and so I haven't made it in time. Let's see, a couple of more and we'll wrap it up. My daughter writes fanfic about anime. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, that's a very popular thing to do, just fanfic in general, even if it's not anime, but things like big IPs like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. That's a lot of people do that. I don't know how successful a lot of people are, but most people don't finish their project. So if she does, that's really impressive. So yeah, awesome. I'm curious to hear what anime. Diane, I do admire artist Michael Soloviev too. I also admire you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Michael Soloviev, he's really good when it comes to controlling temperatures. He has that nuance there, and the technique is really, really good. I caught one of his live streams recently, a couple of months ago. It was impressive what he did. He has this kind of moonglow blue. I mean, he mixes it himself, but it reminds me a bit of moonglow with a bit of sunshine, kind of very neutral, warm. He does that a lot, and I like it. Tayo, do you like paints Makoto Shinkai? I've been asked about these before, and I'm not familiar with them. So I'm going to open up a tab. Maybe I have already. I have like 40 tabs at every moment. Oh, wait. So that's a filmmaker. So you mean paintings by Makoto Shinkai? I'm not familiar with these, Wait, one of them looks familiar, but Yeah, so he has paintings too. But is there a fly here? I hear something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I think I'm familiar with maybe some of his work. I'm scrolling through them. The movies, I'm not familiar, I think. I haven't watched them for sure. Maybe I saw the picture somewhere, the poster. CCs, I started on Death Note forever ago. And you haven't finished it? It's quite short. It's good. I recommend you finish it. I have the omnibus of Death Note, the manga. One big book with like, I don't know, almost 1,000 pages. They are so thin. I really enjoy it, but you have to flip them carefully because they easily rip. I should read it again sometime. I really enjoy it. Polly's art. Hey, how are you doing with that awesome art? Really great art. Thank you so much for being here. We're close to wrapping it up, but that's fine. We'll do a couple more minutes. Jacqueline, it was the first one you mentioned. I'm sure I cannot type out how to spell it. What, Jujutsu Kaisen? Was it? Because I kind of ran, or was it Berserk, or was it Jujutsu Kaisen, Berserk, Attack on Titan? I don't remember what else was. Berserk, I mean, you'd be able to spell. Probably Jujutsu Kaisen. By the way, I watched like 2 seasons of My Hero Academia. I kind of liked it, but then Netflix, our localized version of Netflix, it is Netflix, but our localized Netflix didn't have the rest of the season. I bailed on it. I should continue. Lola, the progress you made is unbelievable, my friend. I've been watching all your videos since you first came on YouTube. Awesome. Thank you so much. Your commitment is obvious. Thanks for teaching me all these years. Awesome. That makes me so happy. Yeah, I'm moving along, chugging along, continuing to grow. Polly's Arts, will you do a comic book manga? Yeah, I've been wanting to for years, and it always takes too much effort. I did do one complete story. It's on, what's this app's name? I have shared it before. I'll share it again. It's been a while. It's Webtoons. It was Webtoon. Let me share with you the link. I did one there, one and done. It's called Raymond Chase, and you can read it here. I'm going to drop a link in case you've missed it. Probably everyone missed it. There you go. Feel free to read it. My one and only complete story, which is kind of a manga story. It could be better, of course. My art could be more manga-ish. But feel free to check it out. It's my only complete story ever. I do hope to do another one. It takes so long. I'm toying around with the idea of doing one in Hebrew, funny enough. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I do want to do it someday. I really do. I really do. And it's very difficult for me to come up with stories. It's not my natural thing. But once I do and the idea is rolling, I have something in mind that works sometimes. But drawing the whole thing it's a lot of work. So I probably didn't find it worth the effort so far, other than the thing I currently shared in the chat. Tayo, how long do you draw? I've been drawing ever since I was born, really, but started seriously when I was about 22 years old, which is 12 years ago. Now 34. Getting there. Becoming older. My back starts to hurt. Yep, my knee. CC is cool. Awesome. What's your profile pic? Where's that from? I'm not sure. I'm your Huckleberry. Could you tell me again what the canvas is you use for creating? You mean the paper? I'm using paper. Wait, you mean the, you mean the tablet. It's Huion. I'm going to type it in the chat right now. Huion Canvas Pro 16. I think it's a 16 model. It could be 16.3, or maybe I'm imagining things. But this is my tablet. It's pretty good. I think it's considered an old model by now, but it does the job. But honestly, it's better for toning and adding colors and stuff like that. For inking and sketching and drawing, I much prefer normal paper. I find it's faster for me. But yeah. Tayo, how long have you been drawing? I answered that. Sorry. Yeah, okay, we got it. Yes. Okay, Jujutsu Kaisen. I got it, Jacqueline. Okay, cool. That's really cool. Everyone, like the kids today, love Jujutsu Kaisen. I know nothing about it. Everyone talks about it. It's supposed to be quite popular. I hope to start watching it. Yeah, the digital. Hopefully I answered that question. The soccer player one. Oh, soccer player. Wait, that's wasn't that like Eye Shield? Oh no, I know what it is. Wait, let me find it out. Soccer manga. There's so many, it doesn't even give me the most famous one. So there's Captain Tsubasa, but that's old. What's the new one? I mean, what's it called? Why can't I find it? I remember I've seen a lot of pictures of it. Eye Shield 21, that's the one I'm familiar with. Maybe it is that one. I don't know. Jujutsu is not soccer as far as I know, though. Cool. Thank you so much. Diane, other YouTube artists admire your work, though. Oh, thank you. I'm happy to hear. Well, I mean, some of them that I have spoken to have had really nice comments, so I appreciate that a lot. It's been a while since I collaborated with anyone, though. I think my last collaboration, I think it was the live stream with Steve Mitchell, The Mind of Watercolor. That was really fun. I should do another one. Usually everyone is kind of in their own little bubble. I'm like that too. It takes a bit of effort and work to leave it and to try and initiate something. But yeah, if I'm in the mood, I'll do it. Jacqueline, I'm trying to write a book, not a manga, but sci-fi. Oh, that's cool. I actually love sci-fi. I have a huge gap when it comes to classic films. I probably have at least 200 classic films that are the top that I haven't watched. And a lot of them are sci-fi. And a lot of them are things I would love to check out, you know? And I'm talking all the way from the most famous, like the original Star Wars trilogy, there's so many, even horror stuff that I've never watched. Whenever I do, I'm very happy about it. My taste is a little strange, though. Some classics I don't like, and it has nothing to do with them aging out. I just don't like them as much, and some I love. So yeah, and that's cool. Now, at what stage are you, Jacqueline, of writing it? Are you just in the thick of it? You know, you wrote half, or you wrote 30%, and you're just in it? Did you complete the thing, and now you're doing a lot of revisions and rewrites? What stage are you on? Are you in the beginning? I'm curious to hear. I wanted to write more of a, non-how-to, like an actual story as a book. But I ended up, I love the medium of manga and comics. So that's probably the direction I will end up going if I do. And don't wake her up. Let her sleep. Pence, yes, with Denise Sutton and Arlisha Yetzer. Yeah, I'm familiar with Denise. We actually, I have collaborated with Denise, if I'm not mistaken. I have I forgot the name of the channel. I remember in Liquid Color. Yes, I have collaborated with her. You can check it out. Actually, we sent each other a sketch, and then we painted each other's sketches. It was a while ago. Now, Arlisha Yetzer, I don't think I'm familiar with Arlisha. Oh, wait, I am. I'm subscribed, probably. Let's see if I am subscribed, truly enough. Oh, yeah, it's Arlie Bean. Yes, of course I'm familiar with Arlie Bean. That's cool. I will keep that in mind. May do that. It's actually a good idea. I'll talk to Arlie because I already have with Denise a long time ago, though. So I could talk to both. Blue Lock. Okay, completely unfamiliar with it. Main character looks like a psycho, but it looks interesting. Actually, I may check it out. Blue Lock. Okay, that's interesting. I may check that out. I'm a big fan of manga. I'll read the manga because one thing to understand, it takes about 5 to 9 minutes to read a manga chapter. It's 19, if it's the regular format is about 19 pages, 22 pages. Sometimes they have double chapters or longer chapters. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to read a manga chapter. It takes 20 minutes to watch an episode. I don't have the 20 minutes to watch an episode. Sometimes it's even worse because they take one chapter and they stretch it one piece over 2 episodes. So anime is a no-no for me. It's too time-consuming, unless it's like Attack on Titan, where you have to watch the anime. Even One Piece, you kind of have to. But what I'll usually do is I'll read the manga, and then I will watch the key moments in the anime, like battles, action scenes, stuff like that. Shahrazad, you still look 22. Oh, man, thank you so much. That's probably because I got a haircut today. Otherwise, I look kind of 30-something. But yeah, thank you. I think now I'm at a stage where it is a compliment to look 22. Thank you so much. Actually, really, thank you. That's cool. I didn't think I looked that young anymore. I'm your Huckleberry. Thank you. You do it. No, you the best. Thank you. Igor, what do you think about AI and painting made with neural networks? Don't you think that painters will not be needed anymore? Not really, because there's still the experience of painting. So you have fun painting. The result it doesn't really matter that a robot can do it as good as you do, because when you think about it, if you look at carpentry, or even more artistic like wood sculpting, things like that, I'm sure machines can do a faster job, sometimes a better job than people, but it's still the experience of doing it. You can automate a lot of things in your day-to-day life where people still do them. When you look at even gardening, things like that. So to me, as someone who teaches also how to do it, not really. I will still enjoy doing it myself and teaching others to do it and sharing the processes. But it will change it. It will change it. It will change how people view it. It will change the styles. Everything is going to change. Nothing is going to stay the same. Nothing has ever stayed the same, you know? Where it goes, I'm not sure. What the world looks like in 50 years, I honestly don't know. I'm sure some of it will feel like a step back, something that is perceived as a very negative thing. You know, I'm kind of an optimist and kind of not. I used to be a lot more optimistic when I was younger. I think I hit my sweet spot of optimism about 10 years ago, I would say. And ever since then, it's been not downhill. I'm not a pessimist at all, but I don't find as much use for optimism. I'm not in a black pill kind of way at all. It just doesn't really have a use for me anymore. I just see things as they are. I try at least to see things as they are, for good and for bad. It's okay. I'm not a pessimist though. But yeah, I don't think the future is necessarily optimistic. I wouldn't want to say that technology will only improve our lives, but yeah, it kind of ruined a lot of things. I will admit, for sure. So yeah, that's my honest take on it. But yeah, I'm not trying to be a pessimist at all, though. Jacqueline, I have chapter 2. I'm letting just flow out right now. I do have a previous story that I abandoned. Yeah, I get it. I had a lot of these, by the way. I think a cool idea that not many people do is just to write whatever part of the story you're inspired to write. So if you have this scene in mind, you know exactly what it's going to look like. There's no reason to write linearly or chronologically read or whatever. So I like that a lot. I love the idea of it being just very organic, like a painting. I don't have to start from the top and at the bottom. I don't have to work left to right. I don't have to do any of that. I can just paint whatever section interests me at the moment. Same with writing. I really like that correlation or an analogy, I guess. Polysart, read your manga, cool car chase scene, very fast paced. Yes, thank you so much. And it's at the end, some people were like, what? What is that? Is that all? What's happening? What's the explanation? And it's a short story. You get to imagine what happened. At some point I was like, I'm gonna write a second chapter kind of explaining things, and then I was like, nah, I'll leave it to their imagination. I do have a headcanon of what happens, what the history is of the characters, but I'm fine with it. It's fast-paced, it keeps you entertained. That's the most important thing for me for that story. So I'm perfectly fine with how it ends, kind of abruptly, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. It's definitely not my expertise. I look at myself much more of a watercolor master than a storytelling or manga master. Not at all, Tayo, especially for you, I will reveal a terrible secret of humanity. In the rest of the world, if a person kicks a ball, it's called football, but in the US, it's called soccer. That is something that people in the US need to hear more. Sorry, because I watch a lot of podcasts that have Brits and Americans in them and Australians, and it's so funny always to hear the funny little jabs they take at each other. Jacqueline Law, my daughter, is saying he's not a psycho. Yeah, I'm familiar with the story at all. He looks a psycho in some of the pictures, but I'm sure because manga is very good at it, I'm sure it's a whole complete character. That's usually how they do it, and that's what I strive to do with my own potential stories. So yeah, that's funny. Well, I love how the cars are kind of protagonists in your manga. Yeah. My love for cars does show through. You got it. Then I like a robot to do my gardening. Really, you would. There's this what is it called? Arrow Garden, I think. Arrow Garden. Yeah, that's kind of as automated as it can be. I looked into these. I may get one. But yeah. Henny, love how you said you needed to drop off sport. Yeah, no, it's fun. I'm having fun. I'm being carried away. I'm gonna have to take Ruth on a walk soon too. But yeah, that's good. We're gonna close in on the 2 hours. That's fine. As long as people are still chatting here, I'm enjoying it. Saint Pat, that's a cool username. Greetings, fellow travelers in this good earth. I come bearing the good news of heaven. Now that God our Father lives inside of everyone on earth and has saved us from the death and gives us eternal life. Well, thank you for thy blessings. Tayo, Liron Sensei, how do you draw a head? Do you use the Loomis method? Kind of, but I ended up taking it in my direction. I modified it a bit. So yeah, at the end of the day, you kind of take ownership over how you do things. That's, to me, that's how it works. At the end of the day, I like to be able to do things as intuitively as I can. And if I follow someone else's method, just because it's someone else's, it won't work that way. So I use the Loomis method to better understand the human head, but now I'm kind of off script. I'm just doing it however I feel like. And I use references a lot, so I'll just open up a random reference, and however it guides me to draw something, I'll draw it, if that makes sense. Pulling weeds, I totally get. Yes, that needs to be automated. Well, thank you so much, Saint Pat. I want to say Saint E-Pat because I'm not used to the E there. Thank you so much for gracing us. Handy Shay, do you print your own? I'm sorry, it's just because if it's a biblical quote or something like that, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. So my apologies. Do you print your own copies of your paintings at home, or do you get a print shop to do them? I have a Canon printer, but haven't bought ink for ages because it's so expensive. Yeah, I usually outsource this kind of a thing. I'll tell you what, sometimes I'm a fan of doing these things in-house. The thing is, it takes a lot of space. Like, you need a serious printer, and if I were to do this seriously, I would have to get a large one, you know, so that I'm able to print large and even scan large. So honestly, no, I wouldn't print my own copies. I'll definitely go print it. I'll even do it online. Some print shops, you can send it over like a high quality picture, and they'll print it on whatever type of paper, canvas, whatever it is, you know. So yeah, I would definitely outsource this. I do have a printer. It's a very simple printer, just for scanning small paintings and, you know, printing documents that we need, stuff like that. Because things still require printing for some reason in today's world. But yeah, that's usually how I do it. No, it's very, you know, if I had unlimited money and space, I would just have a big printer / scanner here, and that'll be it. Okay, I think the last one, and then we'll wrap it up. Well, God didn't save all the lives in Gaza and Israel, all the wars. Yes, it sucks. What can I say? We're going to end on a somber note, but that's fine. Sometimes that's okay. Honestly, I'm trying to not be a pessimist, but I'm definitely not an optimist anymore. I wouldn't define myself as optimist. There's too much trouble around, you know. I think I'm just trying to do my best in what I can control as much as I can to make things better and easier for people around me. What can you do? Thank you so much, Joey. I'm happy you found a good local printer. That's the key. You know, you find the people that do things that you don't do or can do as well. Pay them, make your life a lot easier. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Really, really do. Hopefully next week is going to be a painting stream. So I did say I want to do that landscape you've requested, landscape, waterfall, water, something like that. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. And hopefully, as the stress of the taxes and this kind of crap that I had to do decreases for the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to put a bit more time into the videos, answering a lot of your messages, all of these good stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you, John. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I will see you hopefully on Saturday's video. If not, it's going to be next week. And take care. Keep creating. And we'll talk soon. Till next time.